All right, everybody, welcome in to the high noon edition of Pugs and Company. We do 2 streams a day, high noon here at noon every day, Central Standard Time. And then we come back at 9 o'clock at night for what we like to call Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk, folks, hadn't really been a thing the last week or so. The holidays had everybody twisted. They had everybody here and there and all that. So it was just, I had my kid here, and it's hard for me, 9 o'clock at night to be in the other room screaming into a microphone with people when my kid isn't in it. It's like, it's movie time. It's like that's the time when, we climb into bed and we watch movies together. And then we fall asleep, and that's kind of our thing. So that's been the reason there's been no pillow talk at 9 o'clock the last week or so. That's changing, though. Coming back tonight with a pillow talk, rain or shine. I promise you. I mean, unless there's something big that happens. Was supposed to do it last night, but then I volunteered to do something that took me out of here at the time of pillow talk. So that's the reason we didn't do it last night. I apologize. Couple of things. We may be. Oh my God. All right. So a couple of things first. There might be a slight interruption in today's high noon show, but I've got a huge show for you. So if we are interrupted for a brief moment, we will continue, and we'll go long. It's not like going long. There is no show we're going to run into. We go until we're done. But we have, you've heard me talk about my dog niece who lives here on the property of the 1%er compound in beautiful Highland Park, Texas, where we do this show. I am located in a guest house, a structure that is in the back of the compound. We have a studio here. I have a bedroom. I have a bathroom. I have a kitchen area. I have an incredible deck. I have a living area. It's just wonderful, and I am not complaining about that. Not at all. But what I am complaining about is the animal who shares the property with us. You've heard us talk about CeeLo the dog, the Louisiana leopard blue merle Catahoula dog. She is okay. So here's the problem with the dog. Hi, Steve. Here's the problem with the dog, and this is why we might be interrupted briefly here in the show. The dog sucks. I mean, in the best possible way. In the best possible way. All right, here's the thing. Are you looking for a dog? Yeah, I'm looking for a dog. But I have a couple of questions. Does she bite? Yeah. Does she make a lot of noise? Oh, yeah. Does she chew up things, and is she destructive? Oh, you better believe. But here's the other thing. Here's what balances all of that out. She bites, she barks, and she's destructive. Okay, so those are all like really bad. But here's the good thing. If she likes you, she is the most loving and attentive and cuddly big dog I have ever seen in my life. I mean, look here, I'll give you an example. I'll show you this picture of her. It was her yesterday after I yelled at her. I yelled at her because she was out on the back porch. She was making noise. She was being a jerk dog. So this is what she did. So after being yelled at, I was laying in bed watching TV. So after being yelled at, the dog comes in, jumps up on the bed, and does this, and wouldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. Just look at her. She's just staring at me like, what did I do wrong? I'm a dog who barks, and I'm a dog who bites, and I'm a dog who... She's so lovable. She is so lovable. I have never, I guess I've been married a couple of times and divorced. So, I understand the whole dynamic of loving and hating something at the same time. But I'm telling you, this dog. So we might be interrupted because just before the show started, she decided that she wanted to go out and patrol her yard. And she's out there patrolling the yard right now. And I don't know if a squirrel looks at her funny, she's going to go into a barking, and it's not just roof, 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 like cute, happy TV movie dog barks. No, it's disturbing barks. It's like if Jeffrey Dahmer were a dog and made dog noises. It's just like disturbing. It is a it's like really scary, which is good if you need an animal to patrol the compound, but it's just nuts. It's not anything a decent neighbor should have to put up with. So, should she see a squirrel? Should she get a little side eye? Should a workman end up in the green space behind the building? Then I may have to say, time out, folks. I got to go outside and I got to drag this animal in here. My dog niece. It's not my dog. She's the master of the property's dog, and he loves her, and she loves him, and I benefit from the fact that she's here, and she has taken to me. Luckily she has taken to my son, and that's it. I think she likes 4 people. 5 people if you count Ed. She's got 5 people that she likes in her life. She's got me. She's got my son. She's got E. She's got E's son. And then she's got Ed. That's it. That is it. She's got no room for Ed is, of course, Radio Misfits Ed, who occasionally occupies a room here in the 1%er compound. A room, a wing. We give him the west wing of the property for his extended visits when he comes down. She likes him too. She's cool with him. Oh, not at first. She didn't like him at first, but he won her over, probably with dog treats and whatnot. All right. Another thing that I want to mention right here at the start before we get into the actual show, and that is my boy Adam Reyna did something for me that has absolutely changed my life. So I had been talking yesterday about my plan to do a Teach Me Crypto podcast where I talk to people who are experts in the field of crypto and Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. And I learn about it. And I thought this would be a neat little tool for people who are seeking information through podcasts, because I don't know anything about crypto. I mean, I know a little bit, but I don't know, I certainly don't know enough to feel comfortable putting my money into it or trusting it. So the idea was maybe other people would, if you could do a podcast that was, here comes my favorite word, utilitarian in nature, which is to serve a purpose without, serve a purpose, just utilitarian. It's a utility. It's like something that you use for a purpose, a tool. To create a podcast that is utilitarian in nature, but also slightly enjoyable to listen to. I thought that might be a thing. So that's what I'm trying to put together. I was talking about that yesterday. Goals for 2022. Actually, if I'm being honest, I should just keep doing goals for 2020, because it's not like I've accomplished anything. It's just not. Oh, here goes the hat. This hat, I'm telling you, I got a weird weather situation going on here at the guest house. I don't have the heat on because the heat was on last night and it got really hot in the middle of the night. The heat here in the air conditioning in the guest house is awesome. So I turned the heat off, and now it's a little chilly in here. So please forgive me. But Adam Reyna, hearing my discussion about my interest in Bitcoin and all of that, he sent me down there. You see, help support our efforts with a tip right there down there. You can help the show. You do whatever you want. Adam Reyna sent me a $5 in Bitcoin to my Cash App. And this is my virgin adventure into the world of cryptocurrency. And I have to tell you, it's been a fun 24 hours. Okay, so first of all, he sends $5 to my Cash App. So Cash App takes 15 cents. So he essentially, what I got in Bitcoin is $4.85. And I have been watching the value of this Bitcoin go down and then up and then down. Currently, as of right now, that $4.85 in Bitcoin that I received yesterday is currently worth $4.87. So it went up 2 cents. Now, that's not to say yesterday at 7 o'clock at night, I wasn't panicking because it was all the way down to $4.79 or something like that. I'm like, here it goes. Oh, I get involved. I just mafoogied the whole thing. Old Schleprock got involved in Bitcoin, and now he's tanking the entire market. But then it came back up. I went to sleep. I said, I'm not going to obsessively watch this because, look, it's an insignificant amount of money. But it was a very kind gesture on Adam's part because it is kind of forcing me to pay attention to there it goes, 486. We just lost a penny. So I have this Bitcoin tracker thing that is on my phone, and I'm obsessed with it. All right, we're up a penny. We are up a penny from yesterday, so that's good. Let's hold tight, Bitcoin. All right, just changed again, and it's no, it's still 46. All right. So thank you. I also started watching. I decided that before I actually put together the podcast uh, with people who know about Bitcoin, before I put together the podcast, I thought that I should probably do some research. So instead of working on my book, yeah, I've been working on a book now for a couple of years. A publishing house has contracted me to do a book about the Chicago White Sox. And it is basically a history book. And I have been working on it, and I take 6-month breaks. And then it somehow in my mind, it became like homework. And I was just like, ugh, I wasn't good with homework when homework was important. And oh my God, I'm so dedicated to this project. And I've gotten so far into it. But it's like the end just does not seem anywhere near in sight. Every time I think that I'm close to finishing, I go back and I redo shit. I am nuts. I am a lunatic. I now understand why, authors take 10, 15 years between books because I'm a lunatic. I'm like, I'll go back and I'll look at the first bio I wrote. Cap Anson. Let's look at Cap Anson. That sucks. I can do better than that. And I will delete it. I will just delete it and then I'll rewrite it. So I've rewritten this. At any rate, I should have been doing that yesterday. Instead, I started watching all these Bitcoin documentaries. I tell you, I might be all in. I just, I don't know. I might be all in. I'm going to watch more. 486 and holding steady. 1 penny up, baby. 1 penny up on my Bitcoin. All right. So let's get into today's show. Also, thank you, Adam. Adam changed my life and now turned me into an obsessive Bitcoin watcher for an insignificant amount of money. Well, no, I mean, I don't mean that as a dig on Adam. That was a very kind gesture. It's cool. What I mean is it's not a fortune. I'm not like a rich guy watching my stocks, right? This is just kind of fun and a bit of an exercise for me to sort of get used to it and what happens with it. And yeah, it's, it's like I said, I'm obsessed with it. 486. There we are. All right. We're looking good. We are up a penny. We are up. If I can make, all I want to do is go up to $5. If I can make up the 15 cents that Cash App stole, I'll consider it a victory. I'll consider it. And Cash App didn't steal it. I'm enjoying this. I think that's worth 15 cents. So, Cash App provides a service. I am a capitalist at heart. I have progressive values, but I am an American capitalist at heart. So, I have no problem with Cash App taking the 15 cents. All right, let's get into today's High Noon Show. What do we do here on the High Noon Show? Well, what we'd like to do is we like to go through all the things that are trending, all the topics that are being discussed, anything that's in current events, things that people are gabbing about. We try to go through here. I want you to listen to this show each and every day at noon, Monday through Friday. And at the end of it, go, okay, well, at least I feel like I know what people are talking about. And that's it. That's the point. That's the entire point of today's show. So today is January the 4th. It's the 4th day of the year. There are, excuse me, there are 361 days remaining in the year. Let's do this first. Let's find out what today is the national day of. All right. Just so that we can do all our celebrating appropriately. Today is the, let's see here. It is National Missouri Day. I don't know. I don't know. Missouri, show me state. What do I think of Missouri? Pugs, what are your thoughts on Missouri? I've been to Missouri quite a bit. I think St. Louis is a much maligned city with a lot of potential. It's just not happening at the moment. Missouri's beautiful. If you've ever driven Route 66 through Missouri, you know what I'm talking about. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful river valley and cliff sides and all that kinds of a beautiful state. And it's close to Illinois, right across the river from Illinois. So there you go. Happy National Missouri Day to all of my people in Missouri. Let's see. It's also National Spaghetti Day. The outrage. Do they not know that it's Taco Tuesday? How can it be National Spaghetti Day when it's also Taco Tuesday? I like spaghetti. Spaghetti is such an easy thing to make. Well, good spaghetti is difficult to make, but everyday working class spaghetti, you boil some noodles and you get a can of something good. I prefer the Paul Newman spaghetti sauce. I think it's the Sakatumi pepperoni or whatever it is spaghetti sauce. That stuff's good. Paul Newman, great actor. Even better with the spaghetti sauces. I swear to God, I think that when I eat his Socceroonie, whatever it is, spaghetti sauce, I think this is better than Cool Hand Luke. This is Cool Hand Luke was great, but this is actually better than Cool Hand. This is better than The Hustler. This is better than Presumed Innocence. I don't know. Is that another? I fell short on Paul Newman movies there, but I love Paul Newman. But I love his spaghetti sauce more. It is also National Trivia Day. Happy National Trivia Day to you. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's see here. National Trivia Day. Now, I think I need to make an announcement here because those of you who know me know that I have long considered myself a trivia champion. Now there's a caveat to this. I have never walked into a bar during a trivia contest and not been either the winner or on the winning team. I have also never lost a game of Trivial Pursuit. For years, I was the go-to guy for Trivial Pursuit. My friends would be playing Trivial Pursuit somewhere, and they would go to the bathroom or they would text me, under the blankets or whatever, and they would reach out to me and say, playing TP, playing TP. Here's the question, and then they'd give me the question, and then I would answer the question. Put it to you this way. I'm good at useless knowledge. I'm good at stupid things. I'm good at knowing shit that the average person doesn't know. But am I good at knowing shit that makes me money and could turn me into an active and productive member of society? No, not really. Not really. Trying to learn about Bitcoin, so that's a start. But trivia is my ball game. However, I realized something recently. Now, notice I said I've never walked into a bar and lost a trivia, and I've never played a game of Trivial Pursuit and lost a trivia. There are other ways to play trivia, and oh my goodness, have I been humbled. A couple of years back, there was this trivia game that was online, and you could play it for money, and I thought, oh, finally something that I could win at. I wasn't great. I was not great. I wasn't terrible, but they would have these rankings, these in the world rankings. And it was my goal to break the top 10,000. Now there was like 1 million people playing. So, that's a pretty lofty goal. Never did it. Never even came close. I think I broke the top 100,000 once or something like that. And that was like I said, a couple of years ago. And I came to the realization that the trivia game has, like all great athletes, the sport has passed me by. I'm too old. I am too old. I have too many holes in I don't know enough. I don't know enough about hip hop. I know some. I have a cocktail party knowledge of hip hop, and I like some hip hop. But there are generations of kids out there who know everything, who know absolutely everything. So the newer trivia questions, not so good. 1970s TV, I'm your guy. 1980s music, I'm your guy. 1990s news events, I'm your guy. But, I realized a couple of years ago that I've gotten old. So I'm going to take this moment on National Trivia Day, the assembled press, to announce my retirement from the game. I am retiring as of this moment as a trivia competitor. I will now turn my attention to coaching and my family. I'm stepping away. I'm retiring. It has been a wonderful one. I would like to thank the makers of Trivial Pursuit for all of their support. I would like to thank the makers of that bar game, where you have the paddle, and you sit there at the bar and you just play trivia. I'd like to thank those people. I would like to thank the many bars, taverns, and restaurants around the Metroplex and around the Chicago area who have for years now held trivia contests on Wednesday nights. And I would like to thank them. But as of today, January the 4th, year of our Lord 2022, I'm officially retired from the sport of trivia. All right, thank you. I will take your questions. No questions because there's nobody here. All right, it's National Trivia Day. So there you go. That's what's happening today. Let's see what else happened today. Why is today so cool? Why is January the 4th such a cool ass day? Cool ass day alert. Honestly, this day, we have this thing where we talk about plane crashes. This is actually important. I have a belief that there has been a plane crash, a commercial airline disaster, every day of the year, having occurred before the year 2000. So between, I say 1945, the end of the war, because there was all kinds of stuff going on during the war. So from 1945 until the year 2000, I believe that you can look at any day of the year, and within that context, within those years, I believe that there has been a major airline disaster. I've been saying that now for weeks. I draw the line at 2000 because 2000 is where I'm like, well, we don't have plane crashes anymore the way we used to. We used to have a whole bunch of them. When I was a kid growing up, there were plane crashes seemingly every week. Not necessarily here in America, but there was like one a year in America. No, we don't have that. I can't remember the last major American commercial airline disaster. So I draw the line at 2000. By 2000, in my estimation, they have worked all the bugs out. And so again, 1945 and 2000, I believe that there has been a major commercial airline disaster somewhere in the world. Every day, somewhere in the world, at some point between 45 and 2000, somebody got on an airplane with an attaché case on their way to do a little business, and they died. Not today. Today, there are no plane crashes today. Not one commercial, but today is the day. We were searching for the safest day to fly, and it appears to be January, unless you're a pessimist. Then today's the worst day to fly because it's overdue. It is way overdue for a major airline disaster. Today, on this day, January 4th, at least through my research, there has not been a major plane crash anywhere in the world, not only between the years 1945 and 2000, but really after 2000. Even after 2000, there hasn't been one. However, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. In the most bizarre M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong reveal, creepy turn of events, there has been 4 major train crashes on this day. There are never train crashes. Like every day, there's 3 or 4 plane crashes and no train collisions or no train accidents. Today, there are 4 major commuter train issues. Accidents, not even issues, because there was like a murder on a train that I found, and I'm like, I'm not even going to count that one. We've already got 4. In 1987, the Maryland train collision occurred. An Amtrak train en route to Boston from Washington, D.C. collides with a Conrail engine in Chase, Maryland, killing 16 people. In 1990, in Pakistan's deadliest train accident, an overloaded passenger train collides with an empty freight train, resulting in 307 deaths and 700 injuries. There were 1,000 people on that train? Oh my God. In 2000, a Norwegian. Now you think the Ouijies got their shit together, right? The Ouijies seem to have, this living life thing down. It looks clean there. The people are beautiful. It seems like it's always like, 60 and crisp. You can wear a sweater, but also shorts if you need. It's just the Ouijies seem to have it all figured out. So this is frightening. In 2000, a Norwegian passenger train departing the Trondheim station collides with a local train coming from Hamar, killing 19 people. 68 injured. And finally, in 2018, the Henneman-Kronstadt train crash. A passenger train operated by Scholz. This is somewhere in South Africa, some weird South African word. Anyway, train crashed in South Africa. 20 people were killed, 260 were injured. So no plane crashes. The first day that we've been doing this now for about a month, the first day that we've been doing this, there are no plane crashes, but we have 4 train accidents. So there you go. I don't know what that's about, but hey, life goes on. Birthdays today. Born in 1958, Matt Frewer. Pugs, who's Matt Frewer? Why would you be mentioning Matt Frewer? Max Headroom. I don't know, if you're a Gen Xer, if you're an 80s kid like me, you remember Max Headroom. Matt Frewer was the actor who portrayed the digital image of Max Headroom. I don't have time to explain to you what Max Headroom was, but he was like the first AI celebrity, artificial intelligence, and, he wore a suit. He looked very corporate. And Matt Frewer. Happy birthday, Matt Frewer, most famous as Max Headroom. 1960, born on this day in 1960, Michael Stipe. Woo, baby. Don't get me started on REM. I love me some REM. I looked for it and I found it. I love REM. I've seen REM. I've seen Bruce Springsteen more than big bands, big touring bands. Because there have been local bands and bands that I've been friends with that I've seen more. But I've seen Bruce Springsteen more than any other band, and right behind him is REM. I've seen REM on every tour that they have put together, probably since 1992. So happy birthday, Michael Stipe. Happy birthday, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Michael Stipe. By the way, REM and Bruce Springsteen are so important to me that some of you who know the show, you know that I've been working. It's a long play, but since my son was born, even before he was born, when he was in his mama's belly, we used to do the headphone thing where she would lay and watch TV and we'd pump music into there. And I used to pump in Beatles. I used to pump in Frank Sinatra. I used to pump in Marvin Gaye. I pumped in some, what else did I do? Crosby, Stills and Nash, just like really nice chill music for him. So it started when he was in utero. But then ever since he's been out, I have been slowly introducing him to kids' music or good music because my former partner, Kelly, she taught me in the raising of her kids to just to ignore kids' music, to ignore the Raffi and all that. Just, it's stupid. It stunts their appreciation. It's not, if a kid could hear, like a Raffi song, but they could also hear like something gorgeous from Crosby, Stills and Nash. Why wouldn't you play something gorgeous rather than something that is just disposable and teaches you about something stupid that they're going to learn anyway? Yeah, we don't need that. So I've been slowly working my kid in to all of this music. We've done everything. Like right now we're into rockin' stuff, guitar stuff, right? Just trying to get them to really appreciate guitars and all of that. I'll give you an example. Like his current favorite band is Thin Lizzy, and we'll get to that shortly. Well, not current favorite band, but one of the bands that we like to listen to, Thin Lizzy and Rush, right? It's like, okay, so this is another kind of music you can like, because he's on his own. He loves hip hop, and he is crazy into hip hop, which is awesome. But he's also real enthusiastic about all of this other stuff. And what I've been able to do, and I don't know how I've been able to do this, and I think it's because it's been a consistent thing his whole life. He never did that thing that kids do with parents where they're like, this is your music. This is old people music. No, man, he is enthusiastic. Hell, man, I got him into Rainbow. Rainbow. Since you've been gone. I saw him. He's getting like a whole myriad of things. However, I have been holding back on Springsteen and REM. It's got to be a little bit older. I'm thinking high school, is when I can introduce him to, maybe even college. I don't know. His appreciation of Bruce Springsteen and REM is so important to me that I don't want to screw it up for him by introducing him to it when he isn't emotionally and intellectually able to truly appreciate what's happening with the lyrics, with the poetry, with the meaning, with all. So I'm holding off on that. So happy birthday, Michael Stipe of REM. Someday my son will appreciate you just as I do. Also born on this day in 1963, one of the great underrated comedic actors, deadpan actors of all time, Dave Foley, probably best known from Kids in the Hall. Dave Foley, born on this day in 1963. Also, a couple of sports guys. Chris Bryant, born on this day in 1992, San Francisco Giants slugger. Although I don't know, is he a free agent? Is Chris Bryant a free agent this year? I don't know. Is anybody a free agent right now? We're still in the middle of a lockout. And also born on this day in 1994, Derrick Henry. Boy, you know, the thing about Derrick Henry, Tennessee Titans running back, when people are making comps for you, and the most common comps to your style as a running back are Jim Brown, Earl Campbell, and Bo Jackson, you're doing something right. You are doing something right. When people look at Derrick Henry and go, you know who he reminds me of? Jim Brown. And somebody else goes, little Earl Campbell. And then somebody else comes forward, yeah, but also there's some Bo Jackson in that, in his power. That's pretty amazing. So happy birthday to you, Derrick Henry. Currently my favorite running back in the NFL. Well, that's not true. David Montgomery is my favorite running back in the NFL. But Derrick Henry, I would trade David Montgomery for Derrick Henry. Of course I would. What are you, a fool? All right, deaths on this day. Well, we're also going to do this a little bit now. Excuse me. On this day in 1986, Phil Lynott died. Now, Pugs, who the hell is Phil Lynott? Oh, if you don't know who Phil Lynott is, you need to watch some documentaries, or you need to do some reading. You need to become a person in the Phil Lynott army, as I am. Phil Lynott was he was the lead singer of Thin Lizzy, most famously. See, I mentioned Thin Lizzy earlier, and I said we'd get to it. Thin Lizzy is one of those bands, when I was growing up in the 80s, they were a stoner band that only older lame dudes listened to. That was Big Brother rock, man. It's like your big brother would try and make you listen to Thin Lizzy. And then okay, the dog is barking. I said this was going to happen. All right, we'll be right back. I got to let the damn dog in. She's barking. The police get called. Not the police, animal control. So excuse me for a moment. This hat is just looking dumber and dumber. All right, I'll be right back. Got to get her. Got to get the dog. Get in here. Hey, come on. Come here. Let's go. I'm not fighting with you. Go lay down. You're in there now. You're in jail for an hour. Or 2. However long this takes, you little jerk. Okay. Phil Lynott died on this day in 1986. He was the lead singer of the Irish band, bass player, also producer, songwriter of the band Thin Lizzy. Now, as I was saying, when I was a kid, I didn't like Thin Lizzy. Not that I didn't like them. I wasn't familiar with them. I was like, oh, it's just stupid stoner rock, blah, blah, blah. And then I got into them. I don't know what it was. It was a book that I was reading, and there was an entire chapter dedicated to Thin Lizzy. And after reading this book, which I loved, and I can't remember the name of the book, after the chapter on Thin Lizzy, I went, you know what? This book has been spot on almost everything. Maybe I need to check them out. So I jumped into some Thin Lizzy, and most people, the boys are back in town, or Jailbreak. Those were like probably their biggest. Jailbreak, though, I'm not dismissing Jailbreak. Jailbreak is a jam, but they just got they just got a whole bunch of cool ass shit. So Phil Lynott, if you're not into them, My kid is my 12-year-old doesn't know anything about, he doesn't have any of that bullshit in his head that most of us as kids use to completely marginalize bands because, they don't fit our cool scene or whatever. He didn't have any of that. So all he did was he heard the music and, he loves Jailbreak. Womp, womp, womp. Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak. That guitar in that song is so great. Anyway, they got a lot of other really great stuff. That didn't necessarily. Oh, the other thing I can say to my son at any moment, who's the second greatest Irish rock band of all time? And he'll yell, Thin Lizzy, MFer. I know we have a relationship. He's not allowed to say the full word, but he's allowed to answer a rock and roll question with MFer, because that's very rock and roll. Thin Lizzy. There you go. Phil Lynott died on this day. 1986. 19. Oh, he died. He was an artist. So, heroin and booze. That's what took Phil Lynott. I'm telling you, man, that band. All right, we'll move on from that. No, Pugs, nobody wants to hear you get all evangelical about Thin Lizzy and how they're totally one of the most underrated rock bands of all time. Also on this day in 1999, Iron Eyes Cody died. Now, do you guys know who Iron Eyes Cody is? Here, let me show you who Iron Eyes Cody is. We'll bring this up in picture form because you all know who he is. You just may not know the name. All right, so here we go. Let's pull him up. Okay, that looks good. Iron Eyes Cody is this guy. Boom. Boom. Remember him? The Crying Indian? There were ads in the 70s and in the 80s, probably into the 90s too, where they would show an Indian, a majestic Indian on his beautiful steed standing atop a cliff, watching a modern American white man highway below. And as a car drives by on the highway, somebody chucks a Burger King bag, something like that, chucks a bag out, trashes the side of just throws their trash on the side of the road. And then the camera, there it is, that picture right there, the picture scene. Then the camera pans in on Iron Eyes Cody, and he has a little tear in his eye because he's a Native American, and Native Americans love this land. And now look, the white man is here, and they're throwing Burger King bags out their car window at 55 miles an hour. And that made iconic Native American actor Iron Eyes Cody sad. On this day in 1999, he died. Oh, yeah, one other thing. He wasn't a Native American. Iron Eyes Cody, who legally changed his name to Iron Eyes Cody, was actually an Italian guy from Brooklyn. He was an Italian actor. His name was like Enzio di Franchio or something like that. He was an Italian dude from Brooklyn who got his start in the 1950s when they weren't hiring Native Americans to play Indians in cowboy and Indian movies. I mean, maybe in the background, but it was all just people pretending to be Indians. And he caught on. He looked so much Indians, I apologize, Native Americans. He looked so much like a Native American that he became the face of the Native American in America for decades. And he wasn't. He was not Native American. He was actually, he was, whatever you want to call him. He was Italian. He was an Italian. And he died today. Oh, and he was at it. I am Native American. How dare you? There's actually a funny scene in The Sopranos. It was during the Columbus Day episode of The Sopranos, where the Sopranos crew were getting very upset over Native Americans wanting to cancel Columbus Day. And there was a meeting that took place between, I want to say, Paulie. Paul, I don't know why Paulie is involved in this meeting, but Paulie, I want to say, was involved in it. And he had to meet with some Native American activists to try and come to a compromise about Columbus Day. And there was a scene where the Native Americans are being told that they have this poster of Iron Eyes Cody that they show. And then they're told that Iron Eyes Cody was actually an Italian American from Brooklyn. It's a very funny scene. He died today. Also dead on this day in 1921. This will be the last one. We'll get into the show. 1 year ago today. 1 year ago today, the world lost one of its great babes, Tanya Roberts, Sheena. If you ever saw the movie Sheena, Charlie's Angels. She was if not for Shelley Hatch, Tanya Roberts would probably be the least known of the Charlie's Angels. But that's okay because she went on to do other things. She was Midge on that 70s show. If you watch that 70s show, she was Sheena. She was she did I want to say she was in some Thundar the Barbarian or Conan the Barbarian movies too, or something like that. I don't know, but she was fantastic. She was what an attractive woman. Yesterday I talked about Victoria Principal being one of my first crushes. Tanya Roberts up there too. Make a list. I'll make a list of my first crushes. Tanya Roberts is definitely in there. God, she was gorgeous. You know how she died? She was hiking and she felt a pain in her stomach. And it turned out it was like the urinary tract infection. And then it turned into sepsis. And then she died. She died on this day, 65 years old, I want to say she was. Died on this day in the year 2021, 1 year ago today. All right, now a moment of joy. This is another fun one for you. Okay, so this truly is a moment of joy. If you are an 80s kid like me, this is all right. So what I want to show you here is my boy Danny on I think it was Danny on Twitter, a guy that I'm friendly with on Twitter. He retweeted this, and I watched it, and I just thought to myself, I don't remember this show. I mean, I actually, once I started to read up on it, I was like, oh yeah, wait a second. I do kind of remember that show. So this is the opening sequence of a television show that aired in 1985, and it's called Half Nelson. And yes, it stars Joe Pesci, and that is very interesting. And yes, it also has a theme song that is just epically bad. I mean, it encapsulates everything cheesy and bad about the 1980s. So it's called Half Nelson, and he tweeted this. It's the opening sequence, and I want you all to watch it. And look, I told you about Joe Pesci, and I told you about the really bad theme song. But watch this opening credit sequence. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier until finally you're like, what? That guy's in it. I mean, it is madness. So it failed. It failed after like 6 weeks, and I'll have more on that when we finish it. When I finish showing it to you. But here, you guys, you got to see this. Okay, this is our moment of joy for today. This is a show, again, that aired for only 6 weeks back in, 1985. Okay, so here we go. This is a show called Half Nelson. Get it? Because Joe Pesci's short. Half Nelson. Here you go. All right. You belong to me. Fred the Hammer Williamson, a football player's in this? Living high on Rodeo Drive makes you glad to be alive. Here I am. Don't know who that dude is, but he looks familiar. Yes, I am. Finding myself in the city. A Spuds McKenzie knockoff. You belong to me. Dick Butkus? Wait, so Fred the Hammer Williamson and Dick Butkus? You're kidding me. You can't have two football players in a TV show. Bubba Smith, a third NFL defensive icon on radio. Look so good from the valley to Hollywood. You belong to me. Beverly Hills, you belong to me. All right, there you go. Oh, man. Folks, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that nonsense? You belong to me, LA, LA. You belong to me, and Bubba Smith dude. I mean, come on. What does Kenny Jenkins says? Love Dreadlock Holiday. Who's talking? Did I miss something? Who's talking about? I didn't mention 10cc. I love 10cc, Kenny Jenkins. Kenny Jenkins 10cc, another so underrated. Yeah, Ross, it was crazy. Back in the 80s, you had these long extended, credit sequences, opening credit sequences, and there was a lot of attention given to the theme songs back then. And I don't know why you only had like a half hour and you cut into what. That's why we don't have it anymore, because now they're more focused on cramming as much content into the show as possible. And maybe, if your opening credit sequence runs for a minute and a half, 90 seconds, that's another couple commercials you could sell. So, eventually we got down to, remember Seinfeld? That's it. And yeah, very, very rare is it today that you'll see a new show with a long extended, unless it's on like Netflix or something like that. But as far as network TV goes, very rarely do they do that. But how great was that show? You got Joe Pesci. You got three of the most, I mean, at the time, remember, it's 1985. So, there are a lot of guys that didn't exist yet who are great. But you had three of the most intimidating NFL defensive players of all time. You had Oakland Raider Fred the Hammer Williamson. You had Chicago Bear Dick Butkus, and then you had LA Rams, I believe. LA Rams Bubba Smith. Okay, that would be like today if you had a TV show, LA, You Belong to Me, starring Aaron Donald. LA, You Belong to Me with Khalil Mack. LA, You Belong to Me and JJ Watt. I mean, that's insane. That's crazy. But here's the even crazier part. So after seeing that yesterday, how did Dean Martin figure into that show? Well, Jennifer Blair Martin, I will tell you how Dean Martin figured into that show, because guess what? I went to YouTube immediately after finding that, and all 6 episodes that ever aired of Half Nelson are available on YouTube. And I watched the entire, me and Danny both, because we were talking about it on Twitter. I was like, hey, I'm watching it. I found it on YouTube. Here it is. And then he watched it, and I watched the entire first episode. And guess what? I loved it. I loved it. Now, granted, it's, I grew up in that era. So, but it was not terrible. It was not terrible at all. Joe Pesci is a good, charismatic, and interesting actor, no matter what he's doing. And it's not like the scripts weren't, I mean, look, they were formulaic. They were 1980s. He's a heroic tell me if you've heard this one before. He's a heroic New York City cop who moves out to LA to try his hand at becoming a movie star, but has trouble becoming a movie star. So he ends up working for a private security service that services the celebrity world. And how does Dean Martin figure into it? Well, Dean Martin is the celebrity who Joe Pesci, Half Nelson, is the celebrity that Joe Pesci has to sort of bodyguard. So Dean Martin's bodyguard was 5'3". I looked it up. Or 5'4". 5'4" Joe Pesci was like 80-year-old Dean Martin's bodyguard in the show. But yeah, Dean Martin played himself. He played Dean Martin, and Joe Pesci lived in a guest house on Dean Martin's property. And at least I've only seen one episode, but Dean Martin was in it quite a bit. He was, hey, buddy, how's things working out at the private detective agency? It was like that. Well, Mr. Martin, I tell you, it was very, I don't know how they got all of these people. And Victoria Jackson, who I'm not sure, I didn't do the research on her because she's a lunatic, but I'm not sure if that show was before or after Victoria Jackson was on Saturday Night Live. Maybe one of you guys could do that. But that show aired in 1985. She may have been on Saturday Night Live just prior to that or just after that, but that seems like around the time. Ross Rubio, Victoria Jackson was my jam back before she went insane. Yeah, she did, man. Victoria Jackson went nuts. she's like a QAnoner. She's like all of this nutty stuff. Jennifer says, now I have to check it out. I just watched Dean Martin documentary and somehow they missed that show. Yeah. What was that documentary called, Jennifer? I watched it too. How great was that Dean Martin documentary? Oh my God. That was such a cool doc. And that's also why when he popped up, I'm like, well, I gotta watch this now because suddenly I'm a Dean Martin fan. I love me some King of Cool. That's right. That's what it was called. Dean Martin, King of Cool. Which, I think Steve McQueen might have a problem with that title, but Dino was definitely cool. He was definitely a cool guy. All right, so there you have it. That's your moment of joy. Check out Half Nelson full episodes on YouTube. Oh my God, is it funny? Oh my God, is it funny? All right, let's see what's trending. You know what? Before we get into what's trending, I wanted to double back on something we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, I sort of went in hard on Patton Oswalt for being a morally superior ass who criticized. Okay, so basically, here's what happened. So, Patton Oswalt on New Year's Eve jumped up on stage with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle invited him to come by and jump up on stage and do a little bit of a set. So Patton Oswalt did. Patton Oswalt then tweeted and Instagrammed about how great it was to reconnect with his old buddy, Dave Chappelle. And then, of course, the woke mob came for Patton Oswalt. And Patton Oswalt is a card-carrying member of the woke mob. So, he didn't handle it well. And basically he said, Dave Chappelle is my friend, but I believe that I disagree with him 100% on all of his, views. Which, let's be honest, I don't want to backtrack, but this is a completely manufactured hit job against Dave Chappelle. And Patton Oswalt said, I believe that one day Dave Chappelle can evolve. Like he'll evolve to a different place where he sees things my way. Again, Patton Oswalt being morally superior, to his buddy Dave Chappelle is the funniest comedian of all time. It's just my hope that one day he evolves to being a better person. That's not what he said. I'm nutshelling it, but it was so pretentious and so moralistically scoreboarding and so trying to appease both people. Like I said, Dave Chappelle was the greatest comedian I've ever seen, so Dave has got to be okay with that. But then I also said I 100% disagree with him about his jokes on trans people, and maybe one day he can evolve to be as morally superior as me. So that's what we talked about yesterday. After the show, I was sent this. This is the morally superior Patton Oswalt doing some stand-up comedy from I think it said 10 years ago. So let's see what this is all about, shall we? This is Patton Oswalt. Remember, he hopes that Dave Chappelle can evolve to where he is on trans issues and just being a better person. So let's look at young Patton Oswalt.
All right, you said this is for like families and kids? Because this sounds really grim and creepy. Well, you didn't let me finish. Because we're also going to have men in bright clothing and makeup. Time out. You mean like transvestites, right? Well, technically, yes, but they're going to keep going so that they're clowns. You realize a clown is just a transvestite that doesn't stop. If you saw a guy in lipstick and eyeshadow, you'd be like, Timmy, leave him alone. That's his own thing. The guy's like, oh, no, hang on. Woo! Like, oh, Timmy, he's a wonderful clown. Get over there. I didn't know you'd use a whole tube of lipstick on one cheek. Please, entertain my child. Run at him out of the darkness. He'll love it.
All right. There you have it. That is the morally superior Patton Oswalt from 10 years ago saying that clowns are just trannies who couldn't stop. Oh, you're so evolved. Then we'll move on. All right, let's see what's trending today. Somebody said that to me and I'm like, are you kidding me? I bet this guy doesn't do this joke anymore in his act. Ross Rubio, the New York City alternative comedy scene breeds mostly pretentious know-it-alls that aren't really that great of stand-ups. Yeah, you're right, but it's not just the New York alternative comedy scene. The alternative comedy scene, Kelly and I had very few. We had all the touring comedians, but we had very few that would have fit into that bracket of alternative comedy, which was big in the early 2000s. And it was simply because I didn't like them. I thought that they were preachy. I thought they were taking the fun out of comedy. I thought comedy was, there were no rules in comedy. I was really into dark comedy. I still love dark comedy. I don't necessarily love mean comedy, but I like dark comedy. And I have always felt that the alt comedy scene sucked. Just really sucked. Well, no. See, what we do is we go to like a record store, and then at night when the record store is closed, we make a stage and we invite our friends and we do comedy there so that we don't have to be bothered by the comedy clubs. No, you do that because you can't get stage time at real comedy clubs because you're not as funny and you're arrogant and you're pretentious and you're preachy, and nobody wants to go out for a couple of drinks on a date and sit and pay for that. Ugh. Janine Garofalo is someone who I like. I find Janine Garofalo to be a very interesting actress and an interesting person, but her comedy sucks. Her comedy is terrible. And now we've got this entire new offshoot of the early 2000s alt comedy scene that isn't comedy at all. I mean, it's essentially people getting up on stage and just tearing apart regular people for the way that regular people think. And their audience is filled with a bunch of people, who are also weirdos, and they laugh. Ha 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 ha! Ha, people in Ohio suck. And it's just not anything that appeals to me. So don't get me on a rant about modern comedy. Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham is my current favorite, and he's not even like an up and comer. He's like a big star, but that guy is a modern comedic genius. He didn't fall for that bullshit about alt comedy and all that. But yeah, Bo Burnham is great. So if you're looking for comedy, all right, let's see what's trending. What are people talking about? I-95. I-95 is trending today. Why is I-95 trending? Well, I-95 is a road that runs through Virginia into Washington, and there have been people stranded there for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 hours now because they got snow. They got snow, and people were on the road, and then like 6 tractor trailers crashed into each other and closed the road for like 20 hours. People actually spent the night in their car. See, I don't know if the people in Virginia, but Washington gets snow. Washington, people in that relative area should know. I'm going to start preaching. I'm going to get on my Midwestern high horse and start preaching about how, you get the threat of snow coming right around, November, mid-November. That's when you start getting the shit in your trunk, the shit you're going to need. What are you going to need in your trunk, Pugs? Well, you're going to need cat litter. Why would I need cat litter? Because you're going to need traction at some point. At some point, you're going to need traction, and you're going to need to make mounds of cat litter between either, whether you're front wheel or rear wheel. You're going to need to put cat litter, and you're going to need to use the cat litter to sort of get some traction on the ice and on the snow. That's why. You're going to need a shovel. Why am I going to need a shovel? Because you're going to have to probably dig holes to put that cat litter in, and you can do it with your bare hands. That's fine. You're also going to need gloves. What do I need gloves for? Because nobody wants to dig a hole in the snow and put cat litter in there with their bare hands. That's just not fun. What else are you going to need? You're going to need a blanket. Why do I need a blanket? Well, because these people who were stuck on I-95 for 15 hours really wish they had a blanket or an old comforter or something. You want to know a trick? You want to know approach it? Here's what you do. I don't have blankets. I'll use them in my house. I'm not going to have to throw a blanket in the trunk. Go to Goodwill. Go to a thrift store. Find yourself a blanket, a comforter, something that's really nice and really warm. You buy it for $4 and throw it in your trunk. Trust me, should you ever be in a position where you need that blanket that's in your trunk, you're going to thank me. Jumper cables. You need your jumper cables. You also need, you look at my car right now, and this is, I'm in Texas, so this is probably not needed. You look at my car right now. There are 2 bottles of water in the back seat. Why? Because I grew up in a place where it was possible to be stranded on a road for 15 hours. And, and also, here's the other trick, and this is hard for people who are poor, and I'm a poor guy. If you, in wintertime, you got to keep a full tank of gas. You gotta keep a full tank of gas. Oh, but Pugs gas is so expensive. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. You get stuck out somewhere without a full, with less than a quarter tank. Think about the people who have been stranded on I-95 for 15 hours who had they were just waiting to get to the next exit so that they could gas up. Those people, their cars died. Their cars ran out of gas. They got no heat. The engine isn't going. They probably don't have a blanket in the back. So that's why I-95 is trending. People were stranded. Washington football team is also trending. Why? Because it was announced today that on February 2nd, the Washington football team will be announcing their new name and their new branding on the Today Show. Top choices are Commanders, Armada, Red Wolves, and I don't know, something else. I don't really care. This is an ongoing argument between my son and me. I think it's cool that they're the Washington football team. I think that's cool. I think that they should just remain the only generic team in the league. And they're not generic because they're Washington, right? I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I think that it sets them apart. But, you gotta be like everybody else all the time. Don't want to be the only team that doesn't have a nickname. How can you keep calling them WFT? How can you keep calling them the Washington football team? Well, I don't know. You can, though. It's not like, I can't do it anymore. Washington football Italian. Washington toes, football. You can do it. You can call them Washington football team. It's easy. You just don't want to because it's different. And you are made to be afraid by things that are different. Things that are unrecognizable and not the same to you cause panic. And that's why this is what I explained to my 12-year-old. Don't I sound like a fun dad? To which his 12-year-old brain responds with, "No, you're just stupid." And you got to accept it because, that's what 12-year-olds do. So on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, they're going to announce the new name for the Washington football team. Atlas Shrugged is trending. The, I don't know, was this like early 60s, late 50s? Ayn Rand book. Okay, so like Fountainhead was like the late 40s. Okay, so Atlas Shrugged is trending because last night, Aaron Rodgers was on the Manning Cast, which is the ESPN2 accompaniment. It's the other show during Monday Night Football where you can watch Monday Night Football, but instead of listening to whoever it is in the Monday Night Football booth, you listen to Peyton and Eli Manning just watch the game from like their living rooms, and they have guests on, and it's very fun. And last night they had Aaron Rodgers on, and he was in front of his bookshelf, and behind Aaron Rodgers was a copy of Ayn Rand's. Why did I just Atlas Shrugged? That's what it is. And people are going nuts because Ayn Rand, who is an author, progressives and lefties, people who don't even know who Ayn Rand is, she's the worst. She is the reason that so many people are selfish and whatever. She was an author. First of all, she was a bad author. She was an intellect. She was like the Joe Rogan of her days. That of her time, Ayn Rand was the Joe Rogan of her day. She was someone that stupid people thought was smart, right? And that's not to say that Joe Rogan isn't smart, and it's not to say that Ayn Rand wasn't smart. I'm just saying that what they created, their content, was the sort of thing where people who are otherwise really stupid would get really into that and then just start parroting back what they got. So, and she's controversial, whatever. She's not that important. I mean, so Aaron Rodgers is being criticized for having, but also, you see, okay, so Atlas Shrugged is basically a book that encourages terrible young teens, because don't kid yourself. If you're reading Atlas Shrugged at 40 years old, you're ridiculous. It was intended to be read by 17, 16, 18-year-olds, right? That was the target audience for it. It's basically a book. It's a book that preaches that it's okay to screw over everybody else because, and look, this is a cliff note. This is a Pugs. That ain't it all. You missed the romance. You missed the John Galt stuff. You missed the Argentinian copper mine subplot. Okay, whatever. I read it. I'm familiar with it. I've read both Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. I was in college and I read books because I wanted to be smart. It basically just encourages you to screw people over before they can screw you over. And a lot of people now, with the retrospective history, look back at that and say, well, that book explains why people are such garbage today. And that's not true at all. It's just a book. It's just a book by a weird Russian lady. She's American, I guess, but she's born in Russia. It's just a book by a weird Russian lady that was intended as like, almost like the what is the Twilight series? It's like for 14-year-old bookish girls. That's who Ayn Rand was writing to. And anyway, he has Aaron Rodgers had a copy of it during the Manning cast, and so everybody's going crazy. Everybody's saying, "Well, isn't this the man who was so selfish that he refused to get his vaccine, causing his team to not be able to count on him for a big game? It would just make sense that he would have Ayn Rand." Oh, shut up. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the MVP, and his team is probably going to win the Super Bowl. Just shut up. Just shut up. Ayn Rand was a stupid author. Stop giving her way too much credit. Objectivism is the philosophy that she sort of pioneered. Anyway, that's why Atlas Shrugged is trending. Also trending with Atlas Shrugged is Manning Cast. Now, I've been hearing about the Manning Cast, which is, as I said, the companion piece to Monday Night Football on ESPN2. It's Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, the two Manning brothers, and they're basically sitting in their own homes, like this, like a stream. They're basically sitting in their own homes, just watching the game. The game is shown, right? And then there are two boxes with Peyton and Eli Manning, and you just watch the game without the play-by-play from the actual broadcast, and you listen to Peyton and Eli talk about what they're seeing, what's happening in the game, and they're really good together because they're brothers and they have chemistry, and they're both fairly likable. It's good. People have been saying it's so good. And why do they actually have the real standard traditional Monday Night Football thing when this Manning cast is so much more interesting? Well, I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of the actual play-by-play. If it was a team I was truly interested in, like if it was my team, I would want the actual play-by-play. But like last night with two teams that I don't really care about, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, I was thoroughly entertained. What a wonderful innovation in how we watch TV. Now, it was stolen from the Barstool guys. The Barstool guys have been doing this kind of thing where they all get together and watch a game, and the cameras are trained on the people watching the game, and it's just their commentary. Barstool's been doing this for a while. Brilliant thing. And the Mannings just sort of stole that concept, and because they're the Mannings and it was ESPN, they just took it to a much higher level. But yeah, very clever, very interesting. Also, Chloe is trending and Tristan is trending. Why? Well, we talked about this a couple of days ago. Remember Khloe Kardashian? She was in a relationship with Tristan Thompson, basketball player. And it turned out a couple of weeks ago that he had fathered a baby with a Houston lady while he was still with Khloe. And he denied it. That's not my baby. I am the child is not my son. That's basically what Tristan Thompson said. Well, guess what? Guess what? Hey, Tristan, the results of the genetic test is in, and it is in fact your son. So Tristan Thompson, to his credit, and by the way, I've never seen Tristan Thompson. I guess I've seen him on the court, but when I'm watching basketball, I'm not. There are pictures here of Tristan Thompson in like a suit, and I ain't gay, but I mean, I can totally understand why. Tristan Thompson is a serial cheater, and I can completely understand why he is a serial cheater, because he is ridiculously handsome. He is like really tall. Obviously, he's in good shape because he's a professional athlete, but he's a really good looking man. And it turns out that he did end up fathering the child of this Marilee Nichols. Tristan Thompson says paternity results reveal that he is in fact the father of Marilee Nichols' son. On Monday, the NBA player shared a message on his Instagram story writing, "Today, paternity test results revealed that I fathered a child with Marilee Nichols. I take full responsibility for my actions. Now that paternity has been established, I look forward to amicably raising our son. Boy, this is different than the Antonio Brown video we watched yesterday, huh? Of Antonio Brown on his front porch calling the police on his baby mama. Get out of here, ho! Get out of here, ho! So Tristan Thompson at least knows how to behave. He goes on to say, I sincerely apologize to everyone I've hurt or disappointed throughout this ordeal, both publicly and privately. Thompson, 30 years old, had previously disputed the paternity of the child who was born on December the 1st. In his message on Monday, Thompson also addressed his ex, Khloe Kardashian. They're no longer together, but they were together when he supposedly fathered this child. Here's what he said to Khloe. Where is it? Khloe, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve the heartache and the humiliation that I have caused you. You don't deserve the way I have treated you over the years. My actions, my actions certainly have not lined up with the way I view you. I have the utmost respect and love for you, regardless of what you think. Again, I am so incredibly sorry. Baby, I'm sorry. That's basically the, baby, I'm sorry. I love you, baby. He got caught. But man, look, how the hell? I am blessed to not be cursed with ridiculous handsomosity. I'm a fuddly dude. I've had to rely on character. I've had to rely on game. I've had to rely on being able to talk a girl's ear off, make her laugh a couple of times, then, you get your shot. I have those things. I can do those things. I'm pretty confident in my ability in those areas. But luckily, I've never been a guy who could walk into a room and then just every girl is like, oh my God, he's so hot. Because I'm telling you, if I looked like Tristan Thompson, I would have kids. I would have kids all over the place. Because how do you, when it's that easy, when it is that, when everyone, first of all, he's a super wealthy basketball celebrity, right? So there's that. I mean, he could look like Gorgon, and he could still be batting them off in the hotel lobbies. But he's not. He's on top of that. He's like Tom Brady. He's like super good looking and rich and a celebrity. I mean, how do you say no? How do you? Khloe, baby, take me back. I'm so sorry. Khloe Kardashian, I love you so much. I'm so sorry I humiliated you, but it's such a curse being this handsome. Apparently he's got a bunch of kids. He's got a bunch of kids with a bunch of different women. It's, whatever. But I will say this, his public Instagram statement, it seemed to check all the right boxes. He's not going to deny the paternity test. He's going to fully embrace it. He's going to raise the child as his own. And then he turned to the woman who he was with at the time, Khloe Kardashian, and, seemed to give a sincere apology for his actions. Again, he did it. He'll probably do it again, but he is sorry that he can't control himself. I mean, I wish I could control myself, baby, but I can't. I'm so damn good looking. Oh, the curse of being Tristan Thompson. Okay. What else do we have here? Who else is trending? Don Jr. is trending. Hey, Don Jr. Don Jr. is trending because now it's official. He is engaged to Kimberly Guilfoyle. That is the woman that he left his wife. Was it Vanessa? I believe is his wife. Beautiful wife. She had like 4 or 5 kids with her. Beautiful Vanessa. But Vanessa they got a divorce fairly, about a year or so into the whole Trump thing. And Vanessa had to bail because Vanessa did not sign up for that shit. That was basically the reason she got out. She was like, not a fan of your dad, not a fan of all of this. In fact, you kind of suck. So I'm going to take your 4 kids and we're going to go live a normal life away from all of this madness. So Vanessa Trump, is it Vanessa? Was that the one? Vanessa. Yeah. Cause Laura Trump's the opposite. Laura Trump is the other Trump's wife. They're both really beautiful. Vanessa, a little beautiful, more pretty, if you ask me. So Vanessa got out, took the kids, and then he immediately started dating this Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was a Fox News person. But here's the interesting thing, and God love these kids. Hey, you find love, in a big pile of cocaine, whatever. I don't care how you find love. You find love, you crazy kids, go for it. But she's bear with me, folks. Take a walk with me on this. Don't overreact here at the beginning, because the first thing I'm going to say is probably going to be, what? No, so just walk with me on this. She's 8 years older than him. She's 52 and he's 40. Oh, God, now I got to do math. He's 44, I guess. Yeah, 46, 2, 8. All right, so he's 44. She's 52. And she's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. That is not my point. My point is not, he shouldn't be with an old hag. That is not what I'm saying. I asked you to take a walk with me on this. Let me finish my thought. He's 44. She's 52. She's beautiful. He's kind of a, won't go there. Won't go there. I'll put it to you this way. If you're fans of Succession, he is the less charming Kendall Roy of the Trump family. Okay, that's who Don Jr. is, the less charming Kendall Roy. And if you watch Succession, you know that Kendall Roy ain't charming at all. So there you have it. But what do you think his dad said about this? Like, he's marrying a woman 8 years older than him. That is not Trumpy. That is not that. How can that? I mean, my goodness, his dad's got it. And here's the other thing. She's half Puerto Rican. He's marrying a woman. I would just love to have been a fly on the wall when Don Jr. told his dad that he was marrying a woman 8 years his senior who's half Puerto Rican. That, I want a recording of that. If that recording exists, my God, put it up there. I need to hear that. But that's why I thought that was interesting. Look, I'm glad they found love. I don't begrudge anybody love. Although I do have, are you ready? You took the walk with me. You saw that it wasn't really about the age difference. It was more about the father's view. The father only did. Look, Trump marries women like much younger than him. Right? That's just his thing. That's how he does it. So to see his own son go in the opposite direction, I would think that would be a bit, to, the dad, but whatever. Now that you've taken the walk with me, now I'm gonna backhand you. I believe that relationships with age differences are more likely to work out when the woman is younger than the man. I believe that there are more inherent difficulties when a younger man marries an older woman. Pugs, why don't you explain? No, I won't. We're going to move on. Just how I feel. Ignorant as that may seem. BlackBerry is trending today. BlackBerry, it's the end of an era. Remember BlackBerry, our phones? BlackBerry is ending service on its mobile devices as of today. So if you're still rocking a BlackBerry, it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to, it ain't going to work for you. Jeff Glenn says, I'd love to hear Don Jr. explaining how he has to marry her because of what she has on the family. Yeah. There you go. Here's the other weird thing about Kimberly Guilfoyle. Kimberly Guilfoyle is now engaged to Donald Trump Jr., and she is a Fox News personality. She is a Fox News personality engaged to Donald Trump Jr. Her first husband was Gavin Newsom, the liberal governor of California. She was married to Gavin Newsom for a bunch of years, the liberal governor of California. And now she's married or going to be married to, that's weird. That's like, I don't know, something's going on there. Anyway, BlackBerry, bye-bye. If you're still rocking a BlackBerry, you're done. Yeah, if you're still rocking a BlackBerry, you ain't watching this. Trust me. If you still got a BlackBerry, you are not streaming current event shows at noon on a Tuesday. De Beers is trending. De Beers is trending. They, of course, the diamond people who give you, they run all the blood diamond mines or whatever they do. They mine for diamonds in Africa. South African diamond company, De Beers. Everybody knows De Beers. They're trending because they released a study today, and Bloomberg News, because they're legit. De Beers released a study today, and Bloomberg News published it, saying that people don't want diamonds that are artificially made, and that they prefer real mined diamonds like the one De Beers gets you. Okay, so yeah, are you following me along? Here, I'll put it to you this way. It would be like if the heroin industry published a paper that said, do you suffer from insomnia? Try heroin. People, it's madness. The De Beers company put out a study that says people don't want artificial diamonds. They want the ones that, people die in the mines in Africa for. It's ridiculous. So that's why De Beers is trending today. They put out a completely bullshit study that is obviously, coincidentally, they paid for this study, and then it just came out in their favor. The findings in the study supported everything that they wanted to hear. So it's funny how that works out. Kind of like how when oil companies do these environment studies and they find out that global warming isn't real. That's really convenient for the oil companies. This is really convenient for De Beers. Again, so it's like the heroin industry going, heroin will be great for curing insomnia. Yeah, okay. I don't think so. Let's see what else. Kelly Irby is trending. I didn't know who this was. I'm like, okay. So every time I click on it, I'm like, okay, this could be a minefield. So I click on Kelly Irby, and I'll mention it because I want to get to a greater point. Kelly Irby is a 46-year-old California politician. She has died of COVID. She preached no taxes, no restrictions on guns of any kind, and her big one was tough love for the homeless. The homeless, you know what the homeless really need? They don't need our support, and they don't need any kind of help. What they need is tough love. That was her big thing. She was also a COVID denier and an ardent anti-masker and, of course, anti-vaxxer. She died, 46 years old. She died today of complications from COVID. And here's why I wanted to mention. These things happen every day. These stories trend, or they go around every day. Anti-vaxxer died of COVID. And I decided that I would talk about this one to get to my greater point. Stop it. Stop doing that. Stop acting like people dying. I mean, look, you can think that they're misguided. You can think that they're even some of their methods troubling. I mean, if you go around and you stand on stages in Walmart parking lots with 50 gathered people in front of you and you start talking about, let's go in there without our mask, you start doing, that's troubling, certainly, but cut through all the bullshit. It's still a human life, and these people are dying. Like there have been a lot of these like radio hosts who have died, who spent the last year telling people that COVID wasn't real and don't get the vax, and then they get COVID and then they die. And there are just ghoulish lefty freaks who seem to be reveling in this. And you are as disgusting as the behavior of these poor people who fell victim to this pandemic. This thing is killing people. This thing doesn't give a shit how you voted. This thing is just killing people. So stop it. Stop with the grandstand, the end zone dancing. We got another one. Ha ha! She died. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. If that is honestly the way you react to hearing something here, you are a morally bankrupt piece of shit. So just stop it. Nobody dying from this should be reason to go, see, my side of political think is right. And these people are, shut up. You're an asshole. I don't want to have anything to do with your political ideology. If that is honestly who you are, get the okay. Navy SEALs are trending today. Why? Well, no, another COVID-related thing. U.S. judge has blocked the Pentagon's planned punishments of Navy SEALs who refuse the vaccine on religious grounds. So here's my take on this. You're in the military, you do it. And by the way, I have a very good friend who is a retired Navy SEAL, and I love him. He's a good guy. I've known him, God, since the mid '90s. He's a good guy. He's also. Well, hold on. I gotta check let me check something here. There have been a time or two when he has popped up in the chat room. So I want to make sure. No, never mind. I would say he's a bit of a nutbag. He's a bit of a nutbag. He's, I once saw him put his head through a car windshield just because someone dared him to do it. So he went, hey, you can break a windshield with my head. Bam! And he does it, and then he's bleeding, and it bled for the next 6 hours until finally in the morning he went and got like 3 stitches. I love him, though. Let's see if he's in there. I love him. He's one of my dear close friends. So my point is, we need Navy SEALs. We need people to do these jobs. We need people to be in this headspace. We need people to be willing to do the sorts of things that I would never in a million years be compelled to do. And, the dirty business of fighting for freedom, for fighting for democracy, for representing this country. Look, I don't want to get into, well, they're just murder. No, shut up. No, they're not. They signed up to do a job that we need done, and that's what they are. And because of that, and I'm only speaking of my one friend, a little bit nutty, but he says it himself. I'm a little bit nutty. So my whole point is, if Navy SEALs don't want to get vaccinated, let's not force Navy SEAls to get vaccinated. Let's just let Navy SEAls keep doing it. Do you know how deadly the job of Navy SEAL is? We're worried about, they all stay together anyway. I mean, make them all stay together. Just, that's fine. So whereas I think that, if you're just a regular infantry dude or something like that, but if you're special forces, if you're a Navy SEAL, if you're someone that does a specific job, a job that is so difficult, you have got to get your mind into a very weird place to be able to do it. Leave them alone. A little bit crazy that Navy SEALs have to take vaccinations for all kinds of insane things. They are constantly getting jabbed with, you're going into the jungle, you're going to need a round of 15 shots for the next 30 days. Their bodies are juiced up with all kinds of crazy vaccines and all kinds of things. But this one, they have a religion. So that you could make an intellectual argument that there's a bit of inconsistency there. But like I said, they're Navy SEALs. Leave them alone. Just leave them alone. We need him. They're like. Never mind. I almost just said something that I meant lovingly that could be interpreted as negative. So I won't. But you know what? I've had long time, and I worked with military veterans for a charity for a number of years, and I got to know a bunch of people. And like I said, my buddy has been a Navy SEAL since the mid '90s, and he is one of my dearest and closest friends. And we've had long talks about everything over beers, from politics to war and all that stuff. We disagree on some things, we agree on other things, but look, we are from the same place, and we are the same person, and we have the same frame of reference for most things. So, yeah, that's I have nothing but respect for him and for, man, the shit that he has seen. So anyway, Navy SEALs are trending because a U.S. judge blocked the Pentagon's ability to punish SEALs who refused to get the vaccine. And I say, you know what? Fine. Don't make them get a vaccine if they don't want to get a vaccine, because they are doing shit every day for no glory, for no love, for no appreciation, secret, covert shit that we will never know about. They die regularly. They come back in bags, and there are no parades. There are no nothing, because they died doing something that no one was supposed to know about. And leave them alone. Let's see here. Also trending today, Cuomo. Which Cuomo's trending, Pugs? The one with the nipple rings, the governor, the former governor, we should say. Andrew Cuomo is trending today because the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has decided that they will not charge the former governor with COVID nursing home deaths in New York last year. All right, whatever. I don't care. Not a big deal to me. I mean, it's a big deal, but they ran him out of office. I don't think that he was sneaking into the nursing homes late at night and, gacking these old people one by one. So, I mean, look, policy. Look, we were in a pandemic. Oh, you're telling me that he had a bad policy during the opening stages of the pandemic that led to the death of a bunch of very vulnerable people? Okay, okay, I don't know. Sometimes policies fail. Sometimes people die. It was a pandemic. He didn't cause the pandemic. He didn't. So whatever. You're not going to charge him. That's fine. He's a piece of shit and he's no longer governor. So that's fine by me. Just get rid of him. Also trending today is Andy Cohen. Andy Cohen, of course, of Bravo's. He's the Real Housewives guy. You know, he does those shows where they sit on the couch with the Real Housewives ladies, and they just small talk about whatever. I don't. Can you tell I've never watched? Can you tell I only have a very I don't know what's going on there. I like seen it once or twice. It's usually Andy Cohen and some housewives and just talking about stuff I have no interest in. No interest in whatsoever. So, but that's what he's known for. But I do know him more on the business side. He's actually a pretty interesting dude. He was a television executive. He worked in the executive level of TV at Bravo, and he just created a show and said, "I'm going to host it." And now he's Andy Cohen, the TV guy too. He's also an executive. He's also like a big time, this show is going to get canceled because I, Andy Cohen, in my day job, am in charge of shows that get canceled or shows that get greenlit. So he does that, but then he also hosts the show. So very interesting guy. A guy that certainly I'll go get him kind of type. Well, he is the dude that replaced Kathy Griffin with Anderson Cooper on CNN's New Year's Eve shows. You remember it used to be Anderson Cooper and Kathy Griffin, but then she held up I don't know, Trump's head or something, and people were like, "Oh my God!" The MAGA world canceled her because they don't cancel, but they canceled her for having the Trump head. So so she got canceled, and whatever. Kathy Griffin, take her or leave her. I never particularly liked her on those New Year's Eve shows. So they bring in Andy Cohen to replace her. Now, Andy Cohen is very well. He's a wealthy New York young attractive gay man. So he has a vibe about him. Okay, you know that vibe. It's not it's not like a Jeremy Renner vibe. It's more of a oh my God kind of vibe. He's very up and he's very oh girl. He's very much like that. And which I'm fine with. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to describe to you Andy Cohen's vibe. Well, he and Anderson Cooper, they do a lot of drinking on the New Year's Eve show. He got really drunk. Andy Cohen did, and he started ranting, and he ranted about the ABC New Year's Dick Clark Rockin' Eve thing that was going on the stage behind them, hosted by Ryan Seacrest, and he ranted about that, and then he ranted about the outgoing mayor of New York, De Blasio. Stupid drunken rants on TV. I mean, none of it was like F-bomb laden or anything like that. He wasn't saying crazy QAnon stuff. He was just trying to be entertaining. He was a little bit drunk and he was having some fun, and he didn't go too far. I watched the entire video of it. I saw what he said. It's not bad at all, but people were like, how could he be allowed to remain on CNN? And so yesterday there was a story that said that CNN had fired Andy Cohen. He will no longer be co-hosting with Anderson Cooper on the New Year's Eve show. And he's trending again today because CNN has put out a press release saying, yeah, no, that's not even remotely true. We love Andy. He'll be back. It's not a big deal. New Year's Eve, they get a little wild out there. Happens every year, and we don't have a problem with it. But I will say this. I watched a little bit. I didn't see Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen while it was going on New Year's Eve. I don't remember what I was doing. Oh, I talked about this yesterday. I discovered on YouTube the documentary series Full Color Football, the history of the AFL. So I was watching that. And then I tuned over to CNN later at night when it was Don Lemon, who is just such a train wreck. I just do not like Don Lemon. There is nothing about Don Lemon that I find to be authentic. There is nothing about him that seems... Don Lemon to me seems like a guy who wanted to be an actor but couldn't be an actor, so he decided to do the next best thing and just play the role of news guy. And so now and by the way, I go back with Don Lemon. I remember Don Lemon was a local news guy, a local correspondent, a reporter in Chicago. So, I mean, I remember Don Lemon all the way back when he was in Chicago. And now he's, the CNN. And on New Year's Eve every year, he gets so ridiculously shit-faced. I mean, I suppose you could go to YouTube and just drunk Don Lemon, and you could pull it up. Don Lemon gets so over the top shit faced on TV every New Year's Eve that I think he's probably an alcoholic. Probably, I think and probably based on my experiences with people who are alcoholics. There are people who drink a lot, but you don't think they're alcoholics. But then there are people who drink a lot and behave a certain way when they are drunk that, you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's his body reacting in some weird way. That's his brain not handling alcohol the way it normal. He gets obnoxiously over the top and he says and I'm telling you, CNN, CNN, I hate CNN now. I used to find CNN to be the acceptable medium between the far left MSNBC and the far right Fox News. That's over with now. CNN is the biggest clown show of them all. I can't handle. I'm not going to take you seriously. Don Lemon ranting and ranting about something, but then you see him. Can we go back to an era where news people had some dignity, had some form of trustworthiness, some kind of. I mean, it's just really gross. It's just really gross every time I see Don Lemon drunk on New Year's Eve because he gets so shit hammered. And then 2 days later, he'll be on TV ranting about something that's very important, a serious matter. Ready, like, take me, I am a serious individual. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I just saw you doing body shots off of some. what do we call them? Some drag queen on New Year's Eve. Don't stop it, Don. You have no credibility with me anymore on anything. And by the way, seeing him do body shots off of a drag queen on live TV, that was not just something I made up. That's something that he has done. That is something that I've seen Don Lemon do. Oh, also, it is pretty funny when Don Lemon starts talking. He gets really drunk. He used to do it with Brooke Baldwin. She's not at CNN anymore. I don't know who he was with this year. Oh, Allison Camerata, who I like, who was not drunk, who was just behaving herself like a classy lady. But Don was super drunk. And I remember one year with Brooke Baldwin, maybe 2-3 years ago. This was before Don was in a serious relationship, and he was shit-faced. And it was like 1:30 in the morning Central Time, so 2:30 in the morning wherever they were. And Don Lemon went into this, I don't know. I just think that maybe this is the year I find love. I've been so close. People who know me, they say, Don, you're too closed off. You're too closed off. You'll never find love. And I just feel, Brooke, like this is the year that I'm going to open my heart to opportunities and I'm going to allow love to touch me. He literally said that. He's not literally, because I think I may have been paraphrasing, but I'm like, that was it. When he did that on TV, I went, so you're not a news guy anymore. Not in my mind. You are no longer a news guy. I do not need to know that kind of shit about the guy who's going to tell me that we're at war or the guy who's going to tell me that the economy is collapsing. I don't trust you anymore. You seem like a mess. I'm going to find that video for you. I'm going to find, there's got to be video of Don Lemon out there somewhere. There's got to be video of Don Lemon talking about how, this year I think I'm going to find love. I think I'm going to open myself up and I think I'm going to allow. Oh God. Oh my Lord, Don. Again, someone who wanted to be an actor, who couldn't act, couldn't get a job, and decided it was easier for him to just act like a newsman. I'm Don Lemon. Let's see here. Okay, so I want to get into this a little bit. Someone named Andy Cartwright is trending. Do you know who Andy Cartwright is? I didn't. I had never heard of Andy Cartwright. Andy Cartwright is a rapper. He fronts a band. Let me see if I can find this. Fairly popular band. Not here, in Russia. That's right. His name is Andy Cartwright, and he's a Russian hip hop guy. That's very interesting. Well, he was murdered, and he was murdered by his wife. He was murdered by his wife in their St. Petersburg home. The only reason we're talking about this is because it seems to be it's trending and it's making news because of the details. Murdered rapper was still alive when his wife began dismembering him with a hacksaw. She's his wife. Now, this checks a couple of boxes for me. If you know me, you know that here's my take. One of the most beautiful ethnicities of women that you will find in the world, in all ethnicities of women. I can make my list, my list of preferred, but certainly at the top, Russian women. Russian women are so beautiful. They are drop dead gorgeous. And that's a check in the good column. They're also batshit crazy. Boop, check in the bad column. So, they are, and I don't just mean like American Girl batshit crazy girlfriend. No, I mean like they will murder you in their sleep. Especially if they're from Russia. If they are from Russia, like if they're over here or if they grew up in a Russian home hearing all those stories, just trust me on this. Yes, so beautiful, but you better not cheat on them. Don't cheat on them because they will murder you in your sleep and you will never see it coming. Ever. You just won't see it coming. They'll act like they will know. They could know for days that you're cheating on them and they will be as wonderful to you as possible. And then you'll fall asleep and you'll wake up dead. A murdered rapper was still alive when his wife began dismembering him, according to new forensic evidence. Andy Cartwright was having a secret adulterous affair with a female fan around the time he died at his home in St. Petersburg, Russia. Wife Marina Kokokahel admitted to cutting up her 30-year-old husband's corpse and storing some of the body parts in her fridge. But she's always insisted that he died of a drug overdose and that she dismembered his body with a knife and a hacksaw so his fans would never find out he died such an inglorious death. That's very Russian. I carve him up so his fans don't know he died such inglorious pig-like death. The 37-year-old had planned to tell them that he had gone missing. Okay, so her plan was, remember her story is he died inglorious death and she hacked him up and she was going to just get rid of the body parts somewhere. And that probably works in Russia. I don't know if it works here, but that probably works in Russia. She's going to get rid of the body parts and then she's going to tell the fans that he just went missing. That was her plan. In October, she was released from a detention jail to house arrest, but she still remains the only suspect in the murder. New high-tech forensic tests completed partly on the rapper's eyes suggest he died from oxygen starvation and that the dismembering of his body started when he was still alive. Sorry, bud. I need to get rid of that. Some progressive pop-up commercial. Let's see here. Many of his organs were disposed of by his wife, but the latest scientific evidence indicates the dismembering occurred shortly, a few minutes before his actual death. The singer, whose Russian name was Alexander Yushko, was in a state of pronounced hypoxia, oxygen deficiency, before he died. His death may have taken several hours, and it's believed that she chopped him up. Earlier, investigators had believed he died from an injection of a hard-to-trace insulin substitute, a drug that is intended for diabetics. After she was held, Kokokohal's lawyers told how she was initially accused by detectives of drinking her dead husband's blood and having sex with his corpse. Russian women, dudes, I am not kidding you. Somebody gorgeous, all of them, beautiful. Some body parts were located in her fridge, others in bin liners intended for disposal, while his fingertips were fed to rats in the yard outside. I can laugh because it didn't happen to me. Again, I laugh because this is how I process really awful information. So she drank his blood. So She began to cut him into pieces while he was still alive. She drank his blood. She had sex with his corpse. She cut out all of his organs. They never found those. She chopped him. She chopped parts of him up in the fridge. Parts of him were in trash bags, and the fingers were missing because she fed his fingertips to the rats. But yeah, you buy that sexy looking Russian girl a drink at closing time. You see where that gets you. All right, so that's why Andy Cartwright is trending. Murdered Russian rapper. Apparently, I'm looking at this thing. Apparently, he was fairly successful over there. I mean, yeah, he was somebody that they knew. Funny name though, Andy Cartwright. That's odd that he would land on that just random American sounding, Western sounding name. Troy Aikman is trending. Love Troy Aikman. Who doesn't love Troy Aikman? Why is Troy Aikman trending? I met Troy Aikman once. He was very nice to me. That's why I say I love him. Honestly, during the time that he played for the Cowboys, I despised the Dallas Cowboys. So I was never a Troy Aikman fan. As a matter of fact, I was a Troy Aikman hater. But then, I don't know, like 15 years ago, we were at some function and he was there and he was very nice to me. He was like, he treated me like, I'm not going to say an equal, but he treated me like I belonged. Like I wasn't just like some fan. And I wasn't asking him. He was a nice guy. Dallas Cowboys NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Troy Aikman is ready to take on big beer. Names such as Budweiser and Molson Coors with the same intensity as he did a long time against longtime rivals, the New York Giants, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Aikman, he's got a new beer out. Aikman's got a beer called 8 Beer. Get it? 8 Beer. And it's a healthy beer. It's a pure beer. It's supposed to be a modern beer. And he believes that, beer companies like Coors and Anheuser-Busch and, Miller and all that stuff, he goes, those beers have been made the same way for, 100 years. And that the modern consumer has more concerns about health, about sugar contents, about that kind of thing. And so they spent the last couple of years with a world-renowned brewer trying to create this beer that is actually healthier. It's made with better ingredients. And they're done. It's called 8 Beer, and it's going to be first available here in Texas bars. That's going to be rolling out in the next month in Texas bars. And then after that, so if you see, 8 Beer, it's probably going to look like a Troy Aikman jersey or something. So if you see 8 Beer, that's what it is. And then it's going to, in March, probably just before St. Patrick's Day, it'll be available in stores. And, good look. Look, Troy Aikman ain't no dummy, man. Troy Aikman, Mr. Wingstop. He saw the wings. He saw the buffalo wing movement of like 20 years ago and said, I wonder why there's not franchise, or I wonder why there's not like a place that I can just go. Why do I have to go to a sit down restaurant just to get wings? Why can't I just pull into a parking lot next to a nail salon and a 7-Eleven and get like 20 wings to go? And he made that happen. Wingstop. Also, he owns a bunch of car dealerships, but not with his name. It's not like Aikman Ford, but it's shit ton of stuff. Very successful guy, very savvy investor, smart dude. So if Troy Aikman says that he's going after big beer with a brand new beer concept, don't laugh about it, because Troy Aikman ain't a fool. Troy Aikman is a pretty smart guy. Boy, I love Wingstop too. I really do. All right, what else is happening here today? Oh, this is trending. Meme twins. Okay. All right, so this is going to be a visual thing for you. So meme twins is trending today. I want to show you these guys. Okay. They died. There are two twins who are famous for a meme that they've been on for years and years. You've probably seen them. As soon as you see them, you go, oh yeah, I know those guys. They're two twins. They both died of COVID. Like days apart. Two twins, meme twins. So here, I want to show you these guys. Because, all right. So who are they? Pugs, who are they? Who are the meme twins?